Hey everyone, and welcome back to The Deep Dive, brought to you by the OtisWho Network, where we bring you the most thought-provoking podcasts around.
That's us.
That's us, and today we're going to be tackling a topic that's been sparking some serious debate online.
Oh, yeah.
The great flowers on a first date dilemma,
Oh, yeah.
You sent us some pretty fiery source material for this one.
It's hot.
It's a hot one, and it's clear that this issue hits a nerve for a lot of people. So
For sure.
let's dive in.
Yeah, let's do it.
So our main source is a woman who is clearly fired up about this whole flowers thing.
Yeah.
She's talking about encountering guys who seem to think that women have to, earn flowers on a date.
Oh.
And you can just hear the frustration in her voice.
Right.
Hello, basic decency, anyone.
It's interesting how this specific issue triggers such a visceral reaction. It speaks to, I think, a larger tension that many people are feeling around dating these days. Those unspoken expectations that we bring to the table in a world where the traditional scripts are being constantly challenged,
Totally. And she makes a good point about generosity not always having to be about money.
Right.
She shares a story about an ex who remembered that she loved cold, sour straws.
Okay.
And even though it wasn't some grand gesture, it meant the world to her,
Yeah.
It showed that he was listening and cared about the little things.
Yeah.
Which honestly can be way more valuable than some expensive generic gift.
It's a perfect example of how thoughtfulness can trump a generic, even expensive present.
Yeah.
It taps into the concept of love languages, where we each have different ways that we feel appreciated and cared for. And understanding this can help us express affection in ways that truly resonate.
Totally. And she goes on to argue that even if a guy goes for the cheap flowers,
Yeah.
it's basically a win-win situation for him.
Okay.
Her logic is either the woman is impressed by the gesture or he learns that she's not worth pursuing, all for a minimal investment.
Interesting. So that's a very pragmatic approach for sure.
Yeah.
But it does raise an interesting question. Is it fair to automatically assume that men should always be the ones making the first move and bearing the cost and potential rejection of these romantic gestures?
Yeah.
She even compares it to the whole make me a sandwich argument.
Yeah.
Implying a potential double standard, meaning different expectations are being placed on men and women in this scenario.
It makes you think.
It does.
It's a thought-provoking comparison for sure.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder if there's a bit of a disconnect in how we're approaching these, dating dynamics these days.
Yeah, what's fascinating to me is how this debate reveals those deeper anxieties simmering beneath the surface of modern dating.
Right.
There's the fear of being taken advantage of, the pressure to earn affection, and even the very real concern of financial strain when you're going on multiple dates.
Yeah, and she talks about how, men also experience this kind of ego damage when their romantic gestures are rejected, which is something we don't always think about.
Yeah.
It's putting yourself out there. It's vulnerable.
It is a reminder that both men and women bring their own vulnerabilities and insecurities to the dating table.
Yeah.
Putting your heart out there, regardless of the gesture, always comes with a degree of risk,
Definitely. And she gets even more fired up when she talks about discussing this issue with her friends.
Okay.
Who are all computer science engineers.
Oh, wow.
Making really good money.
Okay.
And they basically tell her that even cheap flowers have to be earned. And her reaction is priceless. Are you serious right now?
That's where those differing expectations become really apparent.
Yeah.
Her friends, maybe because of their financial security, seem to view dating through a more transactional lens.
Right.
Even small gestures are seen as an investment that requires a certain return.
It almost feels like they're applying their analytical, problem-solving mindsets to something that's supposed to be about connection and feelings.
Right.
Yeah. But she doesn't let it slide. She pushes back hard, arguing that there's literally no downside for a man to bring flowers on a date.
Okay.
She even goes as far as to say it's like the make me a sandwich argument in reverse.
Interesting.
Expecting a small gesture of thoughtfulness on a date shouldn't be a radical concept.
It's a powerful analogy because it forces us to examine those unwritten rules and expectations we bring to dating.
Right.
Are they truly equitable? Or are we subconsciously perpetuating outdated gender roles that no longer serve us?
Her point about potentially earning even the simplest acts of kindness through some sort of unspoken dating contract.
Right.
Really highlights how transactional the whole thing can feel sometimes.
Yes.
Which I guess feeds into those anxieties we were talking about earlier.
And it's important to remember that online platforms, while great for connecting people, can also amplify those extreme viewpoints. So while this woman's frustration is completely valid, it's unlikely that every man out there believes women need to jump through hoops to be treated with basic decency and respect.
It's true. It's always good to keep things in perspective.
Yeah.
But it's still fascinating how this one topic sparked such a heated discussion.
Yeah.
It definitely touched a nerve for a lot of people.
If we zoom out and look at the bigger picture here, I think it all boils down to navigating that delicate dance of early dating, where we're still figuring out each other's values, communication styles, and expectations. How do we show genuine interest and care without feeling pressured or like we're being taken advantage of?
That's the million-dollar question.
It is.
And it's not even just about the flowers themselves.
Right.
It's about what they symbolize.
Exactly. It's about those deeper needs for respect, appreciation, and reciprocity that form the foundation of any healthy connection.
She also talks about this guy she matched with online, who basically said he wouldn't bring flowers on a date.
Okay.
Because it's too much too soon. Which, understandably, was a huge turnoff for her.
Yeah. It sounds like that interaction confirmed her suspicions that some men just aren't willing to put in the effort, even a minimal one, to show they care.
Right.
Which goes back to that sense of needing to prove yourself worthy of basic consideration.
And she was very clear with him that she wasn't just talking about money when she brought up generosity.
Right.
Like, she specifically mentioned wanting someone who was generous with their time, their emotions, and their resources.
That's a crucial distinction.
Yeah.
It expands the definition of generosity beyond just financial contributions and really gets to the heart of what it means to be a thoughtful and giving partner.
So after diving into all of this, what does it actually mean for us out in the real world?
Right.
Are we doomed to constantly second-guess ourselves and try to decipher these unspoken rules of dating?
Not necessarily. What's interesting here is that this whole debate can actually be a springboard for having more honest and open conversations about what we truly want and need from a potential partner.
You mean like actually talking to each other?
I know, groundbreaking, but seriously, how do you bring up these kinds of potentially touchy subjects early on without scaring someone off?
Right.
It's definitely a delicate balance, but I think framing it in a way that focuses on your own values and needs can be helpful.
Okay.
For example, instead of saying, I expect you to bring me flowers, you could say something like, it really means a lot to me when someone shows they're thinking of me, whether it's through a small gesture or just remembering something I mentioned.
That makes a lot more sense.
Right.
It shifts the focus from demanding a specific action to expressing what you value in a partner.
Exactly. And remember, dating is a two-way street. It's about finding someone who aligns with your values and is willing to put in the effort to make you feel seen and appreciated.
Right.
That could be through flowers, remembering your favorite coffee order, or simply being present and engaged when you're together.
So basically, it's less about the actual flowers and more about finding someone who speaks your love language.
Precisely. And those early stages of dating are all about gathering information. Pay attention to their actions, not just their words. Do they demonstrate genuine care and consideration? Are they willing to listen to your perspective and make an effort to understand where you're coming from? These are the things that truly matter in the long run.
This has been a really insightful conversation. Hopefully it's given our listeners some food for thought as they navigate the complex world of modern dating.
For sure.
And of course, a huge thank you to our sponsor, the OtisWho Network, for supporting deep dives like this one. Be sure to check out their amazing lineup of thought-provoking podcasts.
Until next time, remember, clear communication, self-awareness, and a healthy dose of perspective are your best allies in the dating game.
Catch you all on the next deep dive.